Hey there, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to do something I've never done before, or at least not yet. I'm going to break down how I make my songs, particularly with a song I've never released yet. It's got a real spacey vibe, and it all kind of started with a sample. I'm going to show you each part of the song, show you what plugins I'm using, what instruments I use, and just talk about kind of how I glued it all together. Thanks for being here. Let's go. As you can see, it looks like I don't have very many tracks, but in fact I do, and I've got them all organized by track stacks based on their instrument type or section of the song. I'll expand all these out just to show you how big this actually is. This is more tracks than I normally have, and I've color coded them all too, just so I can see. Let me walk through all these really quick. I'll start with the samples at the top. Then I've got my bass. Then I've got all my beats, including a bridge beat. I have all my synths and keys, all the ear candy. And ear candy for me is all the transitional elements, the risers, the falls, any backgrounds, swooshes or fun little ditties you throw in just to add some dynamics and make the song more alive. I've got an audio component in here, a recording, and then a choir actually at the end, which will be fun to talk about because I utilize a brand new plugin. So after all that is said and done, I'm going to start by showing you the sample that started it all. Let me solo this. Oh, my monitors are a little loud. So this sample I threw in and started cutting it up and playing and just fell in love, and it gave me instantly this real spacey feel. And again, I'm just using the musical typing and my keyboard. Maybe I'll throw in, my MIDI controller every now and then, but I don't even really break it out that often anymore. That's got a chroma glow on it, ozone just to tweak a lot of the highs out, to be honest, and also another EQ just to really cut the highs. Probably overkill. I'm not a professional, but I'm just showing you what I'm doing. This is how I did this. So yeah, that's the intro. Within there, in the intro, there is a little synth noise. It sounds like this. It's just like a spacey sample. But before that, the bass starts, and it's a high bass note. One of my favorite bass plugins to date that I found, found it very recently. It's called Simple Sub. It's just a sine wave, and you can tweak it, here and there. I pretty much just left it, for the most part, alone, and then added some other things like an auto filter, and just this scanner vibrato to give it, a little wobble, and it sounds like this. And again, this is really high, this part. But that wobble gives it that little, space vibe, which is what I'm going for. The regular bass line, the core bass line sounds like this. A little robotic, I think. It's got a robot vibe, which is cool. And that brings us to the beats. So, one of my favorite things to do after I, figure out my actual beat, and I'm going to play that right now. Actually, first, let me talk about the plugin I use for my drum kit building, which is also free, and I've been using it for the last year religiously on almost every single song. It's called Satala. I highly, highly recommend it. It's just so simple. Each pad, you can drop a sample in right from your desktop, drop it in. There's the kick, snare, closed hat, open hat, and you can tweak, the pan, the shape, the compression, tone, and volume for each individually. Let's listen to that without effects. It's got like a trap, feel, which I don't love as much. And, I'm a lo-fi producer for the most part. I like that old vintage crunch. So I threw on a few plugins, and I can talk about those. One being the glorious Cymatics Origin. This is also a free plugin. And weirdly, I'm on the lo-fi setting. I don't utilize this a ton, but this is what it sounds like with this plugin. So it really kills those highs and crunches it down, just makes it wicked old school. I've also EQ'd this to kill the highs even more, because this is the intro. A lot of the times I would EQ this part and have it, in the same track, but I was moving quickly on this song, and then I threw a chroma verb on here with just to give it like a spaced out vibe. So after that, we've got some keys that come in, and this plugin is from Labs, and it's just vintage keys, nothing but cab. Let's listen to that. Totally spacey, right? And I've got a chroma verb on this too. All 100% wet signal. And then lots of ear candy. But I'm going to play you the intro now that you know all the pieces. We'll bring this over. I forgot to talk about this little drum fill sample too, just to kind of bring you into the drums. Get your head bopping. And then it opens up. And you can see here I've got 2 top candy layers. So as I was saying before, after I established the beat, which this one, I made with my MIDI keyboard. That's what that sounds like soloed. But sometimes to add more, rhythm, just really, honestly, it's just ear candy. I add a couple top layers, usually just hi-hats, shakers, things like that. Let me play those real quick. And I've added beat break and spreader to spread it out into the mix, into the stereo signal. And this one, sounds like this. I've just dotted it in here every other bar. So together, the beat alone sounds like this. And it's got some variation. All right, let's talk about the ear candy here. I've got a lot of different samples coming in here to help me out with transitioning from one part to the next. I'll go through them one by one. Here I've got this harp, which I've got a towel filter to pan on, so it goes from left to right, or right to left, or kind of just slow pans. I like to do a lot of things like that in the mix, so everything's not right here. So it's, transitions across your ear space, over your head almost, is what it's kind of, especially that one, is supposed to make you feel like. All right, here's a riser. That's really just a reverse crash. Here is the guitar sample with just to kind of bring in some warmth and, an analog instrument into the digital space I've got going on here with all the synths and keys. And it sits at a different spot in the mix, which I'll show you in a minute, which I think just makes it sound like the perfect addition to this. And it's real chill and mellow. I've got this little bleepy bleep here. Again, very spacey, right? And then some bridge ones too, which we'll get into. Let me play this part, which we'll call the verse, all the way through now with everything turned on, including, we'll start at the harp here. We'll build a little bit, we'll rise, drop off into more high fidelity drums, and bring in that guitar sample. Now you're just floating on a space cloud. And we come out into the bridge. All right, for the bridge, we're going back to the sample again, but a different chop. And that's it. Super spaced out. Threw in a little vinyl noise just to lo-fi it up a little bit. And the rest right here is really a bunch of ear candy again. So let's take a listen to the space noise. Got one of those guys. Got this spacey sample. Got this riser that transitions us to the second part of the bridge, which is the really cool build-up. Got this static sample that kind of goes over the audio component. Got an actual flyover recording from an airplane, which also has TAL filter too for some of that pan in the stereo width. Got this little flyby sound that has a bit crusher and a delay on it. Here's what that sounds like dry. It's kind of dry, right? Once you crush it and delay it, and that's that. And then I have this, recording from Mission Control, if you will. Let's take a listen to the bridge now that we've heard all the elements.
A new door to space opens. The space shuttle. Everything that has gone before in space, this magnificent treasure, is prologue.
All right, that's the first part of the bridge. The second part, as we rise into it to create effects and dynamics, we've got a new bass line. Sounds like this. I'm using simple sub and an ARP, and it just climbs up to build some emotion. And then here's the bridge beat. Bridge part 2, rather. We'll start with just a simple kick. But once you throw these pieces in on the second half here, it's got a little swing to it. A little bounce. Kind of like you're taking off. Here we go. I threw in this little 8-bit sample using this vibrato and an ARP again. And this just climbs up with the bass. Up to a new octave. Again, we're taking off here into space. Then I've got all sorts of little, they're almost ear candies, but just different little synth parts in here. Here's an Astral Forms from Labs again. The granular choir sounds like this. I have this Vital preset called Night Bloom with a little EQ just to cut out lows and highs. My gosh, so spacey. That just climbs up and down. And then this kind of bassy sweep here with beat break and cutting out all the highs with this EQ down here. And this one drops down, it steps down rather. All right, let's hear the second part of the bridge all together, which is my favorite part of the song.
We are beginning a new and exciting age, signaled by the flight of Columbia into Earth orbit. Columbia is the first of a fleet of ships of the space transportation system. The others to follow. Roger, read you.
All right, that's it. It builds up and up and up, and then as soon as it comes out of that second part of the bridge, everything cuts out for the most part except this top candy, this little top hi-hat. One of the keys, this vintage keys, and some audio. Let's listen to that real quick. Really creates contrast.
Follow. Roger, read you loud and clear. Names which evoke the spirit of our purpose on this new ocean.
All right, right there it drops off, and then everything comes back in full bore. So we've got the bass line, the original bass line, the same sample from the beginning, top layers, the beats again, the kit. This Minecraft sound, which I don't think I covered yet. This one sounds, I just called it Minecraft because it sounds exactly like a tone out of Minecraft, and it comes from Labs. I'm using the Opia piano granular with some spreader and gain boost. And this is where I add in a couple new elements, including this airplane sample. It's the boom boom, like when you sit down, But I've added a chroma verb to it, and I pitched it up to match the tone of the song. And now I introduce a choir. I really wanted this ethereal, spacey. I mean, it's a spacey song, right? So I wanted this epic choir at the end with tons of verb. So for the first time, I've used Contact 8's Jacob Collier's audience choir plugin, and this thing is amazing. I can sample it real quick. Not only is it fun to look at, it's so realistic, and there's different recordings from different, cities and countries around the world. You can change it from oohs to ahs to e's to ums. You can bounce. You can do all sorts of stuff. I left it pretty basic. I added a Gaelic voices in here from Labs also, which is free, and use the tell filter again to do some panning and some EQing. The back half of this outro, I've got another choir, Micah's choir from Labs. Didn't tweak a thing. Also panning, also EQing. And I've got a low version of Micah's choir on here. Again, same things. Probably should bus all those into the same bus, but you know what? I didn't do that. And to close it out, I've got this low strings part, also using Labs. I used Labs. It's not this video is not sponsored by Labs, but I must really like it lately. Expressive strings. And I've used this wider plugin from Polyverse just to really widen that thing out. And let's play that real quick just while I'm on this topic. It's a little tough to hear in the mix, but gosh, is it epic. Cool. All right, let's listen to the whole outro. I'm going to pull all this up so you can see the playhead move. Ready? More choir, more strings.
Yet the meaning of all this to us is far from ordinary.
Yet the meaning of all this is far from ordinary. I really wanted to close on that line. I think it's super powerful and just hits me. I don't know if it hits you, but hits me. So yeah, that's it. That is this song in a nutshell. It was super fun to talk about, each instrument, each piece, why I chose it, where to put it in the arrangement, different effects, all that stuff. I've never done anything like this before. I've never showed anybody my song creation process, so thanks for being part of this journey. This is part of my journey, my musical journey, and that's why I'm doing this. That's why I've started this channel to share what I'm learning as I grow as an artist, as a producer, so I can share it with you. And whether that's a new plugin you learned about watching this that you went and downloaded and used in your next track, or some sort of technique, to kind of transition from one piece to another piece in the arrangement, whatever it is, I just hope you learned something. I hope I was a good host, and I just thank you for being here. If you like it, I'd love it if you could subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out and shows me that what I'm doing is valuable to you. And give it a like, give it a thumbs up. Throw me a comment, maybe even more importantly. I just want to know what your favorite part of this was. Talk about your own musical journey. Throw your name out there. You never know. But let's be friends. Keep producing, and most of all, have fun.